Y&R Spoilers reveal that Cole has been fighting an uphill battle, not only to stay alive but also to keep his loved ones from facing the terrible truth that he is suffering. The disease that Cole has started to silently attack his body, and although he has sought medical attention at Genoa City Memorial Hospital, his condition seems to be getting worse. The pain and confusing symptoms make it impossible for Cole to continue his normal life. But deep in his heart, he still stubbornly keeps the pain to himself, not wanting to burden Victoria and Clare, the people he loves more than life itself. Cole's health has become serious after he returned from Europe. The unusual symptoms not only make him tired but also gradually make him lose control of his body. However, no one in the family, not even Victoria and Clare, knew about his true condition. Cole did not want them to worry, did not want them to face the painful truth that he might not have much time left. However, the fear grew in Cole's heart, as he did not know whether he could overcome this disease or not. With each passing day, he felt that his chances of survival were gradually decreasing, while time passed too quickly without any positive changes. May came, and people began to think that there would be a big turning point in the story of Cole's illness. The tense developments could have been accelerated, but contrary to expectations, Cole's story was forgotten in a dark corner of Genoa City. Although Cole's illness still smoldered in the minds of those close to him, not a word was mentioned in the family. Victoria, who had been Cole's lover and companion, seemed to say nothing about his condition anymore. Even more, the fact that she continues her life as if nothing has changed makes outsiders like Clare and other relatives feel confused and ambiguous about Cole's true condition. Meanwhile, Victor Newman, Clare's father and the one who always controls everything around the family, continues to foster tense relationships within the family. Victor has been constantly trying to interfere in the relationship between Clare and Kyle, hoping to separate them, forcing Clare to return to the Newman family and pursue the values he has always held dear. Although Cole is facing the risk of death, Victor does not care at all, instead focusing on manipulating his daughter and trying to maintain power in the family. But what is even more strange is the eerie silence within Cole's family. Since his return from Europe, no one has mentioned his illness. Conversations about family and work continue as if nothing had ever happened. Victoria, who has always been by Cole's side, hasn't even said a word about his health. It seems that her silence about Cole's illness is a sign that she has accepted the fact that Cole will no longer be by her side. But does Victoria really know about Cole's condition? Or is she just pretending to be silent to hide the pain in her heart? With Clare preparing to move in with Kyle, things seem to be getting harder for Cole. His life has become a series of dark days, with unanswered questions. Will he have enough time to truly understand what is going on? Will Victoria and Clare realize that Cole is hiding a terrible truth? And what can they do to save the man they love before it's too late? Although there has been no official word on Cole, the silence over the past few days has made it feel like he is slowly being pushed out of the main story. Victor's focus on Clare and Kyle's relationship, along with his continued manipulation of the situation, has turned all the important family issues into power plays. But one day, the truth about Cole's illness will no longer be hidden, and when it does, everything will change forever. These days will be a big test for Cole's family. As time passes and his condition worsens, will his loved ones have the strength to face the truth? Even as life seemed to go on, silence settled over Cole like a cold wave that was slowly swallowing him. Every morning he woke up, the pain was overwhelming, but he couldn't tell anyone. He felt a strange loneliness, not just physically but mentally. His deteriorating health was getting worse, but he couldn't accept the truth. He had reached a place where everything was hazy. Thoughts of death were no longer far away from his mind, and the fear of having many days left drove him into a state of despair. Meanwhile, Victoria's eerie silence made Cole unable to stop thinking about their relationship. Did she know about his true condition? Could she be trying to give up on him because she didn't want to face the cruel truth that they couldn't be together forever? Although they had happy times together, all of that seemed like a distant memory as Cole struggled with this terrible disease. Victoria still cared for him as a friend, a companion, but did she truly understand the pain he was going through? Could she see that he was losing hope, that he didn't want to see her suffer because of his decline? Every time Cole looked into her eyes, he saw a pain he couldn't share. He didn't want her to live in the shadow of this disease, didn't want her to suffer his death in silence. However, no one in Cole's family, not even Clare, really knew about the severity of his condition. Clare, who was preparing to move in with Kyle, had no idea that her father was in a life-or-death battle. Clare and Kyle's relationship was developing, and this change made Cole feel even more left behind. He couldn't stop Clare from living her life, but he couldn't help but feel helpless. Although he loved Clare and wanted her to be happy, the truth was that she was drifting away from him, step by step. Victor, who had always controlled everything in the Newman family, continued to control everything around Clare and Kyle. He couldn't stand this relationship, and he tried to interfere in his daughter's life step by step. Victor wanted Clare to return to the family, where the values he had spent his whole life building were. However, Clare, despite facing challenges in her life, still tried to maintain her relationship with Kyle. This only made Victor angrier, and he kept trying to break this bond, as if it was a direct threat to his power. The tense relationship between Cole and the family continued to take a dark turn. While Cole fights for survival, his loved ones are caught up in power plays and intrigue. From Clare's new life arrangements with Kyle, to Victor's manipulation of family decisions, everything seems to be falling apart for Cole. He feels like an outsider, with no place in his own family. And then, one day, the truth can no longer be hidden. The signs of the disease become too obvious. When a sudden pain strikes, Cole can no longer control his body. He collapses at home, leaving Victoria and Clare in shock. This time, they can no longer deny it. The truth has come, and no one can turn back. Even though he knows it may be too late, this is the only time for Cole to face his loved ones and tell them everything he has been hiding for so long. Victoria looks at him with worried eyes, and Clare can hardly believe her eyes. The two most important women in Cole's life were now faced with a truth they never wanted to hear. Cole. Victoria hesitated, but didn't know what to say. Cole looked at her, then turned to Clare, the pain in his eyes unmistakable. I'm sorry, Clare. Victoria. I kept it from you because I didn't want to worry you. I have a disease that has no cure. My time is running out. The words were like a shock, making the atmosphere heavy. Victoria and Clare both couldn't accept this truth. They wanted to save him, wanted to do something, but nothing could change the reality. The disease was too devastating, and everything would probably end soon. But in that moment of despair, something strange and miraculous happened. Clare and Victoria did not give up. Together, they resolved to help Cole fight, not because a miracle might happen, but because love and hope will be the last thing that gets them through this pain. Cole is no longer fighting alone, and the truth, however cruel, has finally brought his family together. The Young and the Restless has been making headlines not only for the mysterious events surrounding Cole's health, but also for the lack of clarity on the show's part. While fans are still waiting for a satisfying conclusion for Cole, the story of his serious illness has not been brought to light in a dramatic way. And the question many are asking is, will the show ignore Cole and his illness, or will it create a new direction for the character, bringing him into a more dramatic dimension, full of hope and resolution? While creating stories about illness in long-running dramas can be difficult, the silence about Cole's illness, especially when he returned from Europe with unclear signs of illness, has left viewers feeling uneasy. Will the show ignore Cole's condition, letting the character just quietly disappear, like other characters who have been written out in the past? This left the audience feeling left out in the cold, as they never got to see a proper ending for a character who had so much to look forward to. This was especially evident when the show shifted focus to other characters, while Cole was struggling with his deteriorating health. His illness, while painful and devastating, didn't seem to be enough to keep the audience engaged, or at least didn't create the necessary drama that many were hoping for. Even when Eddie had to return to his teaching job, Cole's absence from key plot points became even more apparent. While the return of other characters provided a twist in the plot, nothing significant happened with Cole. This led to a big question. Will Cole simply be a character to be ignored, or will the show find a way to delve deeper into his story? Cole's illness is not only a dramatic element, but also an opportunity to highlight family relationships, love, and sacrifice. However, it seems that these elements have not been exploited properly by the show. With the appearance of characters like Victoria Newman and Clare, the show can take advantage of their relationship with Cole to create a deep emotional crisis, not only revolving around illness but also about difficult life decisions. These decisions can be the choice between continuing to fight the disease or accepting death to protect loved ones. And while Victor Newman, Claire's strong-willed father, always wants to control and interfere in every relationship in his family, can he stand by and watch Cole do this without intervening? This will create a dramatic psychological struggle, as the elements of family power meet emotional personal decisions. This story also raises questions about Cole's existence in the world he lives in. Will he be left as a supporting character, like Days of Our Lives' Don Craig, Jed Allen, who suddenly disappeared without explanation? Don Craig is a classic example of a character who was not given enough attention by the show, and was eventually simply written off without any proper development. If Cole goes down this path, his absence will be a shock to those who loved the character, and will certainly disappoint fans. Or perhaps, as a glimmer of hope, the show will decide to give Cole a rebirth story, a remarriage to Victoria Newman, a symbol of love and resilience. This would be a major turning point, not only for Cole's character, but for the characters around him. A remarriage for Victoria would be a powerful message about never giving up hope, no matter how hard life can get. However, to give fans a satisfying ending, the show would need to highlight these relationships in an emotional way, not just as a recurring event. A remarriage between Cole and Victoria could be not only a resolution to their love story, but also an opportunity for the show to delve deeper into larger themes like forgiveness, sacrifice, and facing death. The love between these two, despite their trials and tribulations, is something very strong. If the show gets it right, this story could become one of the most memorable relationships on The Young and the Restless. So will Cole have a brighter future, or will he remain a forgotten character? The answer lies not only in whether the show continues to explore his illness, but also in how they handle Cole's relationship with key characters like Victoria and Clare. It's a story about hope, love, and irreversible decisions in life, and if done right, it could be a memorable one. The Cole Howard storyline on The Young and the Restless is at a major turning point, as the character faces a serious illness that the show has yet to fully explore. While fans have been hoping for some dramatic drama surrounding Cole's illness, the reality is that the show seems to be ignoring or not giving the character enough substance. Will Cole end up like other forgotten characters, or will the show decide to continue his story, giving fans hope and resolution? The story of Cole's illness, his relationship with Victoria, and Victor Newman's intervention could open up a new struggle that is dramatic, emotional, and hopeful. Ever since Cole returned from Europe with unclear symptoms of illness, viewers have been waiting for a more dramatic development in his story. The illness seemed like the key element that the show needed to exploit to highlight the dramatic situations, putting Cole in a situation where he faced life and death. However, instead of delving into the illness and the relationships that Cole was enduring, the show did not fully reveal it. This left many viewers feeling uneasy and dissatisfied with the omission. Even when J. Eddie had to return to teaching, people still could not understand why the story of Cole's illness was ignored. Was this a strategy to keep the story focused on other characters, especially Victoria, Clare, and Victor? However, there is no denying that the story of Cole's illness could have provided dramatic depth, an opportunity for the show to explore the love, sacrifice, and psychological struggles within the Newman family. A large part of this story involves Victoria's silence. Despite her importance in Cole's life, the lack of information from Victoria and other close characters has left viewers feeling a little off. How can the show continue Cole's story without her fading into the background of the other characters' drama? A relationship between Cole and Victoria, if fully developed, would be an important element to heighten the drama in the story, especially as they deal with Cole's incurable illness. However, the concern is that Cole could end up like Don Craig, Jed Allen, on Days of Our Lives. On that show, Don, a key character, was never given a clear ending as he suddenly disappeared without a reasonable explanation. This omission has left fans feeling confused and dissatisfied. If Cole were to be dealt with in a similar way, the loss would be a shock to those who have been attached to the character for a long time. Cole was not just a supporting character, but an important part of the story of the Newman family and the love between him and Victoria. If his ending were to be a silent, unfulfilled ending, it would be a huge disappointment to the audience. However, what makes the story more interesting is the possibility that the show could bring about a remarriage between Cole and Victoria. This would be a great opportunity for the producers to revive the emotional relationship between these two characters. A remarriage would not only be a continuation of their love, but also a symbol of hope, forgiveness, and resolution in a relationship that is facing many challenges. Faced with a terminal illness, Cole may see this as his last chance to complete the unfinished things in his life, especially in his love life. A remarriage between Cole and Victoria would not only be a simple solution to their story, but could also give fans a happy ending after so many ups and downs. It is a powerful message of love, hope, and determination. Because in difficult moments, love and the bond between people are the deciding factors that help them overcome everything. Cole and Victoria's relationship has been through many challenges, but once again, they can overcome difficulties together to rebuild their lives. This reunion would be proof that nothing is too late, even in the face of death. This remarriage is not simply a love story. It could also help the show better portray the conflicts within the Newman family, especially the relationship between Cole and Victor. While Victor has always tried to control everything in the family, Cole is a character who represents freedom and personal choice. A remarriage between Cole and Victoria could highlight these conflicts, especially since Victor never wanted Victoria to get back together with Cole. This would create a confrontation not only about love but also about power within the family, as Victor has to face the fact that his daughter may choose a different path, one that he cannot control. So the big question remains, will the show ignore Cole and his illness, or will it explore it more deeply to give fans a hopeful and emotional ending? With characters like Victoria, Clare, and Victor, the show still has the opportunity to create a story that is deep, emotional, and dramatic. And no matter how Cole ends up, fans will want a fitting end for the character, one that they can remember forever, not just for the love story, but for the values the show conveys.